Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. When you quit drinking, it feels like everything should get better. You don't reach for the bottle anymore, you don't lose control. But a week passes, a month, a year, and inside there's still that hum, like someone is whispering, someone who isn't you. Alcohol isn't just a liquid, it isn't just a physical dependency. It's a portal, an entry point into another structure, another program. With your consent, you once opened access, and they came in. Energetic entities that feed not only on alcohol, but on your feelings, guilt, self-destruction. You may have cleansed your body, but the program stayed. The role stayed. You keep wearing it like a mask. You stopped drinking, but you didn't stop seeing yourself as the one who once drank. You don't speak to yourself as clean, new, free. You speak to yourself as the one who failed, the one who was weak, the one who ruined his life. And that role is stronger than the bottle, because now the egregore doesn't speak through the urge to drink, it speaks through your inner dialogue, through lines like, "You already ruined everything? No one will forget. You don't deserve a new life. You're weak. You just got lucky they pulled you out. You're still one of them, just coded now." That's the trap. Right in that moment, it feels like you're alone, like no one will understand, like even if you stay silent, the world still sees you as that person. And you return to the beginning, not necessarily in actions, but in thoughts. And that's the same addiction, just without the bottle. You're walking down the street just thinking about your day, and suddenly you remember a phrase. Someone once said, "There are no former ones. He'll relapse anyway. I know a guy. He held on for 5 years. Then it all started again." And you don't understand where it came from. Why now? Why do those phrases live in your head like someone slipped a tape into you? Because you're still connected. You're not drinking anymore, but your attention is still there, in the past. In the image of yourself you're ashamed of. In situations that still make you cringe. In words you're afraid to hear. The egregore doesn't need alcohol. It needs you. Weak, doubting, ashamed. It feeds not on actions, but on state. It needs you to keep feeling guilty. That's why even when everything outside seems to improve, it still whispers, "You're not worthy." People look at you and remember everything. You didn't change, you just pretended. Those are the hooks. And they're triggered not only by memories, but by people around you. Someone can joke, casually, harmlessly, over dinner. "Just don't start again. Maybe 50 grams for the holiday? Come on, how can you do Friday without a beer?" You smile. You act like it's fine. But inside, there's a spike. A click. The image snaps back into place. You in the old body. You in the old script. Which means you're back in the game, not yours. And right there you have to ask yourself, what if this isn't about me anymore? What if I'm not that role? What if I can decide who I am now? The answer is yes. You can. But only if you switch off the old dialogue. Remember this. That experience didn't break you. It made you real. Sometimes you catch yourself thinking, what if I hadn't turned there? What if I never started drinking? What if I chose another path? Maybe I'd have a business, a family, a million, a sports car, a house on an island. But be honest. That's an illusion. That wasn't your path. You couldn't have walked it differently. Because your soul chose this one. It was the only path where you could see the truth. The truth about yourself. About people. About boundaries, about pain. About who will actually stay when everything collapses. About how much strength is really inside you. You lived all of that for a reason. It wasn't pointless. It wasn't failure. It was initiation. You entered the shadow so you could remember how your light shines. Think right now. When was the moment you realized you couldn't go on? That this was no longer about pleasure but about survival? What did you lose back then? An illusion, a mask, a connection, a family, yourself. And now, what did you understand? What do you never want to lose again? Who did you become by walking through it? You became real, not some made-up hero, an actual human being, with a story, with experience, with depth. Everything you went through was training, not punishment. You didn't do anything extra. Every moment, even the hardest, was a lesson. And if you're alive right now, sober, thinking, working on yourself, you've already cleared that level. Don't torment yourself with, what if? In this reality, you're now capable of things you would never be capable of without that experience. Now you see. Now you feel. Now you understand those who are still trapped. And most importantly, you can finally be yourself. Not an image, not a facade, but living, real. Stop comparing yourself to who you could have been. Start being who you became because of this path. Now you're not the one who's afraid of his story. You're the one who can tell it. And by doing that, you can already heal others. Guilt is the egregor's last anchor. It's not you punishing yourself. It's it punishing you with your own hands. You don't even notice how the thoughts come by themselves. What will my relatives think? What if I relapse again? Is this forever? In that moment, you think you're reflecting, but in reality, you're just listening to someone else's radio. You're not choosing. You're not thinking. You're accepting whatever the system drops into you. Sit down, in silence, with yourself, with a sheet of paper, and write everything you think about yourself. Everything, without a filter, without a mask. What do you think about the past? What do you think about yourself now? What are you afraid to hear from other people? And then ask yourself one question. Whose thoughts are these? Who is speaking inside you right now? You, or your pain? You, or the images of other people? You, or the egregor? Do you understand? You don't have to think this anymore. You are free to choose a thought and now choose a different one, not an illusion, the truth. Say, I made it through. I'm alive. I'm aware. I'm moving forward. I'm not my own enemy. I love myself the way I've become. My story is not a stigma. It's proof of strength. When you take your thinking back, the egregor loses its power. It starts starving. It begins to die of hunger. You no longer feed it with shame. You no longer wear a label. You are more than a mistake. You are more than an image. You don't have to be a former one. You can be new. And that decision doesn't require approval. It requires only one person. You. One of the most vile scripts is when you live not your life, but a program implanted into you before you even began to understand who you are. You think, I chose this path. I became this person myself. These are my mistakes. But if you dig deeper, you suddenly realize you didn't write the script. Remember childhood. How often did you hear, your uncle was an alcoholic and you will be too? Blood is thicker than water. Everything's obvious with him. Look, his eyes are already shining, exactly like his father. He's a lost cause, don't even hope. He'll grow up and still start drinking. And school? Old teachers raised in another era, where shame was normal and labels were a method of education. It was easier for them to scare you than to believe in you. Easier to stick a diagnosis on a child than to support him. And so you grew up with other people's words in your head, with other people's thoughts about you, with other people's conclusions that became your inner reality. But that wasn't you. That was a program implanted into your field. That was an instruction written without you. And you simply lived it all the way through. Because your spirit agreed to live this experience in order to break it. You are not guilty. But now you are responsible for your new reality. That's an honor, because you are one of the few who broke out, who didn't remain a program. I read your comments. You write that you've been sober for 5, 10, 20 years, and yet you still blame yourself. You still return to the past in your thoughts. You still feel like you are permanently damaged, like you still aren't who you could have been. But listen, you are not a broken version of yourself. You walked through a fire that others never even entered. You survived where others burned. You are a clean page on which truth can now be written. Sit with yourself, close your eyes, and say, I was a child when they implanted those words. I did not choose to be who they wanted me to be. I forgive everyone who put those codes into me. I take back my right to think about myself differently. I forgive myself. I am new. I love myself. I hear myself. And I stay with myself. You are not a former. You are not a sober alcoholic. You are independent, in remission. You are not an accidental surviving soul. You are a new form of consciousness that went through hell to become stronger, cleaner, deeper. But now there is emptiness in front of you, freedom, an empty room without roles, without familiar thoughts, without struggle. So who are you now, when everything is behind you? At first it will feel uncomfortable, because you got used to suffering, used to paying for it, used to carrying that stone backpack of guilt, shame, other people's words, memories, and now it's gone. So will you try to put it on again? Out of habit. But it doesn't fit anymore. Because you grew. Because you are no longer that person. Do you want to be calm? You will be. Do you want to be happy? You will create it. Do you want to be a teacher? People will listen to you. Do you want to be a parent? You will give what you never received. Because now you are not the result of past mistakes. You are the author of a new reality. And if it still feels like you don't have the right to be happy, like you don't deserve it, like you can't let go, remember one thing. It's not that you can't. It's the echo of the past. It's the voice of those who no longer have power. Look forward. Breathe deeply. Feel it. You are free. You didn't just survive. Now you are the one who can inspire others. The one who can reach out a hand, not from pity, but from strength. The one who can speak without accusations, but with a truth that can be heard even through walls. This is your new role. This is your new life. This is the real you. Thanks for being here on the channel. See you in the next video. Bye, everyone.